if you're fucking around unnecessarily, then you might want to stop that. If you're overeating when you shouldn't be, you might want to stop that. Try fasting, which is funny because I've never even fasted.
You haven't?
Not entire. I do something called intermittent fasting.
Nah,
but
bro, you need to go on
I didn't even know that it was.
Proper.
I just thought it was just being broke, innit? Like, I mean, like I was like, this is how I live my life, and then niggas call it intermittent fasting. I'm like, what the hell?
Go back to it. I
Let's
was so
switch.
focused.
Yeah, because when you have to listen to this man.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
you'll
focused. Yeah.
miss it.
I had a question now.
When it comes to money, is that you need to understand that abundance is your natural state. Abundance is your birthright. And the metaphysics of money isn't actually correlated directly with money. It's more so fractal in other things of your life.
Welcome to another episode of the Wi-Fi Money Podcast. Today we are joined by,
Nero.
and then we are.
We're joined by Nero today, and Nero is family. Nero's family at the Wi-Fi Money Podcast. And basically, I want to kick things off straight away, and I want to say, Nero, I got a present for you, brother. I got a present for you.
You said this the other day.
Brother.
Let's go.
We're doing, this is a Wi-Fi Money crypto.
Let's all clap, studio.
Don't mind our people in the background. Don't watch that. But yeah, this is a Wi-Fi Money X Crypto Nero podcast. Get to know. And like I said before, Nero is family. Nero's my brother, like family.
Our
and,
brother.
And Wi-Fi Money family. Anything Crypto Nero does, we fuck with it. And we shout it at the rooftop. So everything here, yeah, listen, I'll never say this for anyone. Actually, I'm not going to say actually. But yo, just know that Nero's family. And I just want to say that for all of you watching this, all of Nero's peoples, all of Nero's followers, I don't want to call them fans, people that just mess with Nero, this... I don't want to say it's going to be different, but we're going to just say, we're going to get into the questions. Listen, it's not going to be like your typical, listen, we're not going to ask him about where he's from, upbringing, blah, 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 blue. If you want to know any of that, you can go check the first season of the Black Bezos Daily or Wi-Fi Money Podcast and check that. 2, you can go check his other podcast and go see that. We're going straight into it. We're going straight deep down into the depths. First questions, gonna hit it off, and we're gonna rock the boat. Let's get it started. Waleed, tell them, talk to us.
All right. So first, as you have new people watching right now, tell them, what do you actually do? Who is Nero and what is Crypto Nero?
Well, Nero is who I am. I guess people attribute that to be a personal brand. And I guess that's anything that revolves around esoteric, occult, or metaphysical information. And then Crypto Nero is my exclusive education service.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Wow. Straight off like that.
Go on.
Straight off
Yeah, you found out what he does, bit about what he does. We're gonna put that all in the bio. Look, let's stop the group, but I got
Cool.
get the question.
No, that's cool, guy. We needed it because I don't know. Yeah. So,
I know,
firstly,
I know.
the first question is that I know you talk about a lot about metaphysics, etc. How was your childhood, and then was there anything from your childhood that led you to learning about metaphysics and?
Definitely. So, in accordance to metaphysics, I guess the thing that correlates with metaphysics in my childhood was religion. I was raised Christian. I went to multiple churches. I went to youth conferences. I saw all of that demon take people, all of that
Exorcisms.
stuff. All of that.
Wow.
I saw all of that. And still, there was questions that I had about the Bible and the origins of the Bible that no pastors from multiple churches and preachers, including family members, couldn't answer. So then I guess I just tried to find these answers myself. And then I fell into metaphysics.
Okay,
Just like
that was the story. That was the beginnings.
Yeah,
What is metaphysics for people who don't know? Because a lot of people don't know.
definitely. Metaphysics is comprised of 2 words: meta, meaning new, physics, anything pertaining to the physical plane. So it just means beyond the physical. So beyond what our ego allows us to see. That's all it is.
Beautiful.
Relating to metaphysics, etc. Do you ever feel like you're an outsider?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah. Because you need to understand, I feel like there's 2 sides of the world. There's the side that people attribute to be in the matrix or be asleep or anything that relates to that. Then you have people like me that are able to see the systems which I guess control people on multiple levels across multiple different planes, even to realms that people can't even see. And me kind of having to live in this I guess, double life like Hannah Montana is quite funny sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah.
You talk about planes. What are these different planes?
There's the physical plane, which we are in right now. You can see me, I can see you. There's light. Anything that revolves around the five physical senses, that's the ego. Then there's the mental plane where our thoughts reside. Oftentimes we could just be sitting and a random idea comes and hits our head. And then you tell your friend and they're like, where did you get the idea from? And we say, it just came to me. But no one ever thinks about where did it come from. It
Yeah.
comes from the mental plane, which can be seen as, I guess, almost a layer of thoughts just residing above us in the ether that we can't see. And finally, you have the spiritual plane where our astral beings exist, so why people can go to different places when they're asleep, so why people can astral project. It's our tie to the one creator, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, whatever your ego prefers.
Why do you use that phrase, whatever your ego prefers?
Because really and truly, it doesn't matter. I don't think the creator really cares what name we call them, because anything that we can create in this physical plane is limited, because we create from finite, because human minds are finite, which means that anything we can create cannot be compared to the infinite. And really and truly, if we all believe God is the infinite, then all names fit regardless.
What is the ego?
The ego is just the five physical senses. So what allows you to touch, taste, hear, smell, see. That is it. It's not some sort of characteristic of arrogance or anything like that.
So tell us, when you go through your phone? I know you're watching studying metaphysics. When you go through your phone, what does a standard day of Nero scrolling through his phone like? Do you watch TikTok? Do you watch a lot of content? Do you go on your phone a lot?
No, not really. The only times I'm on my phone is to reply to messages
Okay.
or to post content. I try not to watch people's content. If anyone watches anything, it's my girlfriend. She'll watch stuff on my phone because she finds it entertaining.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I try not to go on my phone. If anything, just YouTube and stuff.
So what do you think about people who, are often on their phone, looking at news, looking at politics and whatnot?
Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with being on your phone too much as long as you're actually using your smartphone and not a dumb phone. It's one thing to scroll through other people's lives and just try laugh for 10 hours and then 4 hours goes by. In my opinion, that's a dumb phone, which is ironic because they're called smartphones. But if you're actually using social media and you've almost cultivated it so that almost everything you engage in contributes to some sort of intellectual wealth, then that's a good thing. In terms of the news and stuff like that and politics, I see politics as nothing more than an illusion which leverages the left and right hemisphere of people's brains. Really and truly, I feel like politics is funny because regardless of what side wins elections or who sits in
Yeah.
the seat, it doesn't matter because the seat was created by somebody. And regardless of the outcome, the people that truly organize it are going to win regardless. So while everyone's fighting to say, I hope he wins, I hope she wins, regardless of who sits in the seat, people at the top still benefit anyways.
So do you think that politics and the news are controlling people subconsciously?
Definitely. I mean, even interactions with humans are controlling people subconsciously, but the news is an amazing tool when it comes to programming the people's minds. It's almost like whatever the news pushes out, people just take it in instantly, which is funny because I feel like over the last 3 years, everyone's kind of seen the collapse in the media. From reporting stuff about COVID and then people sharing, videos of hospitals being fine or hospitals being empty. And there's almost this, I guess, disconnect between what the news has been pushing out and reality because of social media.
Okay, I understand. I watched another podcast of you, and you mentioned about silencing your mind. That's one thing I watched it and didn't understand. What do you mean by silencing your mind?
So there's people, most people, minds are just completely running with thoughts. Even while we're sat right here, you're thinking, damn, that Wingstop was nice. I've been working hard today. What time am I going to finish? How long has this podcast been going on for? I hope I look good. We have all these thoughts that are just running through our heads and running through our heads that there's actually very little time that our minds are actually silent. And a silent mind is a peaceful mind because it's almost like, imagine if we were sharing a room together and I came with a speaker and just started blasting music, full volume, and you're just trying to sleep. You'd be upset, you'd be agitated, you'd be irritated, but that's your mind. There's no difference. Except that the one that's playing the loud music, the music is your thoughts that you never get to process. And the one playing the music is the other side to you that you never get to experience because we're so stimulated in this world that we rarely get pieces and time to actually sit down and be silent.
So what do you think? Do you think you should the person who's receiving that loud music take themselves out of that situation, or should be working on stopping the music from coming to you?
There's no way that you can ever stop. There's no way that you can ever take yourself from the music being played because you take you wherever you go. You're the one person you can't run from. You can run from me, but you can't run from Walid and you can't run from whoever else. You cannot run from, yourself. You can run from everybody else. So you take you wherever you go. So you're always going to be with your mind. So the aim isn't to avoid and run away from your mind because when we see stuff like that, this is why people would do drugs. This is why people would drink because they're essentially trying to escape their own minds. But after your high is done, you realize that you're back to square one because you're the one person you can't run away from. So instead of trying to avoid and run away, what you need to do is overcome those thoughts. Instead of running away, you need to walk into it.
And I like what you said, which is so interesting because right now you see all this big talk on mental health and whatnot, and you're seeing a lot of drugs that are all to do with mental health and all these different things. And I think back, like, were people hundreds of years ago dealing with this many mental struggles and whatnot? But yeah, we've have all these solutions in the Western world with all these different drugs and whatnot to help quote unquote silence your mind.
Well, first thing that you need to understand is that, and this actually might be a controversial thing that I say. Most illnesses that we have are simply created and fabricated by these big pharmaceutical companies that just seek to then make a quick buck off of you as soon as they've essentially cultivated an illness in your mind, which would have probably never come into your mind without the leverage of social media and media outlets pushing these images into your subconscious mind, which then internalize and come into your reality so they can say, hey, I got £3 for you here. You give me £3, I'll give you this drug and you'll be fine. So it's almost like there's alternative solutions to overcoming and silencing your mind without having to play into the hands of big pharma. But because they have such an amazing monopoly and the masses have such sheer belief in the institutions that people would rather go take some sort of drug than actually try to sit down and meditate. Because most of our problems could be solved if we could just sit in a room by ourselves.
And how do I silence my mind?
You first silence your mind by beginning to take out thoughts. Now you do that by meditation. So what I always recommend is find silence. Doesn't matter where. In a field, in your room, in your living room, silence. Now, set a timer. You don't need an app or anything, which is the funniest thing to me. You don't need an app or anything. Just set a timer on your phone for 10, 15 minutes. Sit down in silence. You don't have to cross your legs. You don't need to be in a full lotus. You don't need to be in a half lotus. Nah, you ain't got to do these or these. You ain't got to do none of that. Just sit down so you're comfortable and just let your thoughts flow. Don't try to say you're right. Don't try to say you're wrong. Even if they say you're an idiot or amazing, I'm hungry. Damn, why was that guy at the bus stop looking at me? Damn, that girl from the other day was bad. Oh my gosh, what am I doing right now? I feel like it's been 5 minutes right now. Now I think it's actually 2 minutes. Let me come out of this. All of those thoughts, just let them flow. And if you do that every day, essentially what you're starting to do, your mind can be seen as a cup full of water. You're beginning to empty that cup of water. So then you can actually start putting things that you want in, because there's no way a full cup can take anything new.
And I feel like that silence your mind thing and that meditation, even though I've never actively went out to go and do meditation, I look at my life, I look at, a period of my life where, I'm just like everybody else, loads of make thoughts. But ever since I left the education system and I had to go and fend the world by myself and do, make money for myself, and I started going gym I remember I went through this period of time, where I decided there was a lot of pressure going on, and I started going gym without any earphones. And at the beginning, and everyone gets always onto me. Oh, you're a madman. How do you not go to gym without earphones?
That is a bit crazy.
You know like that. There's no earphones. Leg day, no earphones. Bro.
Yeah. Someone texted me.
That's man's going through pain.
Yeah, someone texted me. Someone said, "Yeah, I saw you at the doing legs with your BB is
Legs.
a monster." Yeah, legs, bro.
Bugging.
Yeah, legs. But like I said, I don't do all that meditation, but I feel like that's my way of silencing my mind,
Well,
where I'm
exactly.
going through it, and there's only me and myself to get through the gym workout. I'm not gonna rely on music. I'm not gonna rely on my favorite artist. I think I want you to talk on. I don't know if you've looked into music, but I don't know if music touches a different plane, different realm. Because I've looked into music and I know that music is very, 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 very deep as far,
Well,
and it
yeah.
can touch different sectors.
frequencies,
Like
the
I think they did
frequencies.
studies and like it just hits right through certain barriers, that other things just cannot. You know, only example I can think of from the top of my head is just sometimes I actually like low key be studying people. I remember I was just on the phone with my friend or just seeing my friend and they're all angry and I played them their favorite song, whoosh. And I just say, do you see how your emotions just switched? You was really angry in this moment, and now you're calm and you're singing along to the music. Can you see how deep this music is? Can you see how deep it is? So I want you to talk on that.
Well, for example, right, to your first point about when you're stressed out and you just started working out with no music like an absolute insane person.
And I got comfortable, and now I'm comfortable, and now I don't even like having earphones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can ask anybody that drives. Sometimes you just want to drive in silence.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want silence. You know, if you ever look at a parent with a child who just won't stop crying and won't stop making noise, they'll just want silence. There's certain times in our lives when we're stressed out, for example, we just won't talk to anyone. That's us subtly seeking the silence, but we never see it like that. It's unconscious that we want to return to the silence because they say that sleep is the cousin of death and sleep and meditation are siblings. So meditation is essentially us simply trying to revert back to that oneness, that one source, which we do through silence, which is why if you look at the world, it's cultivated in a way to make you be afraid of silence. People are afraid of silence. For example, people are uncomfortable right now.
I was thinking, what's going on? Nah, he got me. He got me. I don't think
You didn't get me.
Wait, he didn't get you? Nah, he got me because he went silent. What's going on? Yeah.
But for example, there was people that'll be watching that just got uncomfortable because we're not used to silence. We study with music or TV in the background. We go to bed with TVs or music playing. Everything that is unnecessary towards actually having something, we always need it there. It's because they've purposely cultivated the world to make people afraid of being alone. Some people can't sit in a room alone by themselves for like an hour.
People are afraid to be alone. That's
Like
facts.
I can do so many things. There's so many things that I did alone that people thought I was a madman
Yeah,
for. I went on
yeah,
holiday
yeah,
by
yeah.
myself.
Like eating out by
Eating
yourself.
out. I post one time on my Snapchat. I'm going to Nando's by myself. I do that literally every day.
You go to concerts by yourself.
Yeah, I
as
go to
well,
concerts
innit?
by myself. I went to Adele by myself. I had the vibe. I had the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I highly recommend going. By the way, going on holiday by yourself.
yeah.
Go on holiday by yourself.
Yeah, I want to take a solo trip too.
Yeah.
Me and my girl spoke about that. Also, to revert back to your point about music, wasn't Lucifer the best musician?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
He
saying?
he was appointed as the music arts guy.
Precisely. So music is extremely powerful. You know, if we're going to say that the opposition of God was an amazing musician, then surely that means there's some sort of metaphysical aspect to music alone. For example, certain music, like Walid said, promotes different types of vibrations within your body, and other musics promote other types. If you look at the Islamic call to prayer, that is one of the best things you can listen to in terms of frequency for vibrations because it doesn't agitate the body. There's frequencies that you can see on YouTube where they play and it's just still. And then, for example, if we take other music such as, you know, pop music or drill music or rap music, they come in accordance to certain frequencies. Now, there was a scientist called Dr. David Hawkins who done a study and called the maps of consciousness, which calibrated different types of emotions to different types of frequencies. So, for example, I believe shame is the bottom, it's the worst thing you can listen to, right? And then as you go up, it's anger, it's pride and stuff like that. So if you look at our music, it's heavily centered towards pride and hate. It's all about, I'm better than you because I got this, I got all these girls, I got all this jewelry. And then it's hate because it's, I can't wait to kill you, we killed your ops, da 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 da. So if you look at our music, especially the type of vibrations which are coming from that in terms of frequencies, it's extremely dangerous.
Where would heartbreak fall on that? Because a lot of songs are all talking about, you know, most popular songs are about love and heartbreak and all that stuff.
Well, the funny thing is this: love is actually the highest frequency. Unconditional love is the highest frequency. Then above that is what we'd call God. That's literally the highest, which is why, prominent spiritual figures such as Jesus had unconditional love. So did the Buddha. All of these people that are essentially top dogs in the spiritual place had literally the highest levels of frequencies because they were showing unconditional love towards anybody and everybody. And heartbreak would come in the middle. It's the middle is willingness, and that's willingness to overcome and transcend the lower emotions. Heartbreak would come just below that, which is sadness.
So are you saying that the ones which are lower down, how do they affect? Are you saying that they're more? Is that the reason why they're most popular?
The ones that are lower down are the most detrimental.
Detrimental.
Shame.
Precisely. Shame is the lowest, at the bottom on the maps of consciousness. Then it's like pride, hatred.
Would diss tracks fall under
anger.
shame?
Precisely.
Something like that. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wherever like someone is trying to mock somebody else. Yeah.
Precisely. Which is why there's multiple things in our cultures which seek to promote shame in men, porn being one of them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Precisely.
I was just
Because
gonna
that's
say
one of the lowest vibrations, and they're not doing this by accident.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if you can keep people calibrating at such low levels of frequency, they won't be able to rise up consciousness and then effectively do things that might detriment the system.
And I just want to add something because it just came back to me and I forgot it earlier.
Of course.
And I was just saying how I believe we're going into it. I was telling on our earlier, we're going into an age where I call this the audio age. We've gone for a visual age where, smartphones, laptops and TVs, but we're going for an audio age now where everybody's got earphones in. You've got the Amazon Echo, Google Now. Everyone's listening to podcasts. Soon you're going to be able to walk into your house and go open the blinds, or you can already do that now. Open the blinds, shut the door. Everything is audio. After the pandemic, that got shut down. Now it's Zoom and everything's online. We're going into this age where everything's audio, Siri and all these different things. So I just think that the Matrix, everyone, they're catching up. They understand all these different things. Before, you'd have to go in for your GP appointment, but you can just do it visually on your phone with audio. So I can just see how much of a large part that audio is playing right now.
Definitely, and that's because of technology called IoT, which is called Internet of Things, which is the most advanced thing technologically coming to our society.
Absolutely.
IoT is the ability for devices to share information. For example, your phone is connected to the Wi-Fi, which allows your Wi-Fi to then allow you to use your phone. If your phone's got Bluetooth, it allows your phone to connect to your AirPods. If you have, for example, this microphone is connected to this, which is connected to something else, and stuff like that. And IoT is literally the reason. The ability for devices to share information seamlessly is exactly what will contribute to the society where you can walk into your house and say, lights on.
Yeah, we'll turn
And
on.
they turn on. For example, there's cities in the world such as Barcelona that are smart cities. For example, if there's no one on the street, the lampposts will turn off. Then as soon as they feel movement, they'll turn on. It's because there's sensors in the ground which communicate with the lights in the lamppost, which then send a signal back to some sort of central point of control, which then dictates if that's going to turn on and off or not. Another thing is like bins, for example. So in Barcelona, in parts of Barcelona, they don't have bin men. They literally take their bins outside. When they feel that the bins are full, it just shoots down, takes it to underground storage directly underneath that neighborhood. And this is real parts of the world right now.
Incredible.
Precisely. It's almost like being able to look at a fridge and a fridge will say what you're missing.
Actually, the Samsung smart fridge, it checks and if things are missing, it automatically orders.
Precisely.
Yeah, some of them.
That's IoT.
IoT, man, Internet of Things, man.
Everything connected to one each other.
Precisely.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy how the internet is controlling our lives. I was just deep to know how the internet, everything, literally, everything's connected to one single thing, and if that one single thing breaks or malfunctions, that everything just crumbles. That's crazy, man. But yeah, I was literally gonna ask my question. I had a question in my head. We'll come back.
We'll come back to it. Okay, then let's
come back. To it. I
let's
was so
switch.
focused.
Yeah, because when you have to listen to this man.
Yeah.
Oh,
So focused.
you'll
Yeah,
miss it.
I had a question. Now when?
miss it.
And I was literally
Yeah. Let's switch it. Let's switch it up because I know everyone's gonna want to hearing this. Everyone's hearing about these metaphysics. We're going deep, but how can you use metaphysics to make money?
Okay, the first thing that you need to do is when it comes to money, is that you need to understand that abundance is your natural state. Abundance is your birthright. For example, when babies come onto Earth and they're out shopping with their parents and they want a toy, and their parents say you can't afford that, we can't have that. Babies start crying and throwing tantrums, and people attribute it to be some sort of negative characteristic in the child. But you don't understand that child just came from infinity. That
They don't
child
know
is
any better.
they don't know scarcity. Abundance is our birthright. Even if you look at how fruits grow on a tree, there's fruits that there's not enough fruits for us to pick, to the point where some will fall on the ground and then be recycled back into nature. And the ability, the funny thing is, if humans could create trees, you know, not all fruits would grow on there. There'd be five and they'd be really high. And if you wanted them, you'd have to grab them, and then you'd have to pay a permit to pick them. And then after you do that, you get taxed for 1/3. But really and truly,
Facts.
God was just like, yo, there's a tree, the fruit that grows on there, and it's abundant. Nature's completely abundant. So the first thing that you need to recognize is that you are part of nature and you're a microcosm of the universe. So nature is within your birthright. Now, when it comes to business, the way that you can leverage it is by getting past this barrier. Now, everybody that started a business sometimes feels bad for charging people.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the worst thing you could do, because most of us grew up poor. So we almost see ourselves in the world and think, I don't want to charge this too much because I want to make it affordable for everybody. But not the whole world isn't poor. So as soon as you get over that barrier, then you can actually start charging adequately for your business. Along with abundance, in the Bible, wealth is attributed to gold, and gold in the Bible is mentioned 8 times. If you turn the number 8 to the side, that's an infinity sign. So wealth in the Bible is already infinite. It's already established. In terms of your money, then need to understand.
You know my brain. So interrupt you. It's just so crazy. Like
This is
what's an
Yeah.
I had a deep it. And I see him smile. I was like, yeah, fam. This guy's thinking fam.
Every nothing
It's lit, it's lit, it's
nothing
lit, it's
is
lit.
literal per se. Numbers mean things. For example, the number 4 represents the earth. There's 4 corners of the earth. There's 4 seasons. Number 7 is completion.
completion.
God created the world in 7 days. There's 7 days in a week. There's
Yes.
52 weeks in a year. 5 + 2, that's 7 again. 7 is everywhere. There's 7 holes in the human body.
Yes. Eesh. I know there's 12 and there's 3. You can go. I know you can go.
Yeah. You
Go
can
on,
play
yeah.
around with the
You can play
numbers.
around,
However,
yeah.
it's very, very funny. But to use metaphysics, the first thing that, like I said, as a foundation, you need to establish is that there's an abundance of money. There's not a lack of money anywhere. It doesn't matter what you
Yep.
see in your own personal life. Your own personal life does not reflect reality. And I feel like once you understand that you actually deserve money, then that's when you can start actually taking it in. And the metaphysics of money isn't actually correlated directly with money. It's more so fractal in other things of your life. For example, if you grow up poor, you'd feel bad asking for things
Yep.
because you don't want to stress out your parents. Then how can you adequately ask for money from other people? You're not going to get money, because life is fractal. Your ability to ask in one area will affect your ability to ask in another area. So that child that didn't want to ask mom and dad because they didn't want to stress them out, how do you think you're going to find it easy to actually ask people to then pay you? And then on a vibratory signature as of emotion, how do you actually expect to receive? So the metaphysics of money isn't actually around, there's not certain things that you can do, but it's more so mental shifts that you need to make that slowly then start to change the world around you.
And I tell people, as you said there, you need to get over that thing of you need to be able to ask people. How do you expect if people didn't give to you to then answer them? And I literally tell people, I like to tell people this to help them. If God forbid something happened to your health and you've got a mortgage, car finance, and all these different bills. Listen, if you can't work, they are still coming for that money. They don't care.
Definitely.
So I always say the banks, businesses, companies, they want their money. So they don't care about you. They don't care. They just want their money. That's it. They don't care if you're, and if you die, sometimes even there's some bills and stuff like that. If you die, your kids will end up paying them. Some certain things. Isn't it? Boris Johnson wanted to add this mortgage thing and he said that he wanted your kids to pay for it too. He wanted to add a mortgage. I don't know if you heard about it, but
I do not hear anything about politics.
they wanted to add a mortgage.
It's out of politics.
Out of politics. I was out of politics too, but you know when there's just that mad stuff in it, and it gets to you.
definitely.
But there was a mortgage that they wanted to implement because you know how the economy is. You can look this up. If I'm wrong, but you look it up. They wanted to implement a mortgage that it was going to be very low interest rate and all of this, all nice and stuff on the outside, but it was going to be something like 100 years, some ridiculous timeline, and if you died, your kids would pay for it too. Something ridiculous like that, and it just says. And I always just tell people, look, they don't care about you. So, when you're asking for money, don't care about other people too. Like, as harsh as it might sound, you need to, like you said, abundance is your birthright. Go get what's yours. Simple. If you feel like you've got something valuable and you can provide that to the world, you feel like you're doing good, then go get that, man.
And it also relates back to what we were saying apart, man. You said that once someone offers you money, accept it. Because once you stop accepting it, it's like you're stopping the blessings of the money coming in the
Precisely.
future.
It
And
refers
that's just, yeah.
exactly the circulation of the universe. You understand what I'm saying? So, for example, a lot of people are taught that you should save every penny you get. But, money is currency. Currency is like a water, it flows. So you need to keep it flowing. You can't stop the circulation. When you start hoarding things, it's like putting water in a cage, in a
I'd
glass
say it's
jar.
like
It can't
if
move.
water's going through a pipe, it's like when you hold it, it's like holding the pipe. Now
Exactly.
water can't
If you
come
ever
out.
see a frozen pipe, it's exactly the same thing. So you actually need to allow for it to circulate because, it might not come back to you within a couple of days, a couple of minutes, but eventually it will come back to you. You can ask anybody. I have lots of rich friends that told me the month that they, made the most, they spent the most.
Facts.
It's weird.
It's true.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's true.
You got to spend money to make money. That statement is true.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you know what? Just look when you're talking about all this, and me, I know you personally, and I've seen you before, and I'm just thinking about your own progression. Like I think about that old Nero, and I wouldn't say. I mean, you know what, bro? I think you was
That's
actually
it.
you was tight. You know what? This guy was tight with money. I can't lie. Yeah. This guy used to be tight.
Definitely.
He used to be tight with money, back in the day. Oh, I counted it. Oh, now I can't do this. Can't go out here. Can't go. I'm like, let's go over here. But
Even that month that we went to celebrate our financial success, that this time last year in October, when we went to celebrate, you were like, nah, let's go to this restaurant. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to spend too much money.
I didn't try to force you. And bro, when we had a conversation last time, I went, is this really the same Nero I'm talking to? Because the way my man's just talking about the way that he just, someone came asking me for money. They stopped me and I gave him £50 just on a joke man thing. Oh yeah, I don't just get normal Ubers, I get Uber exec. This. And my man was like, yeah, I'll get that. I got that for you. I'm thinking, raw, like, yo, it's just a bot. And then obviously no one needs to know go on, but let's just say he's doing good and it just happens. You just know, fam. You just know, like, it just all makes sense. It just all makes sense, like you said. Like I can see how free you. I can feel it through your mind that the money just free flowing. It's just free flowing. You're like, this comes out and it comes back in.
Yeah, because when we met, we were both broke.
Yeah.
So it's been fun watching the progression of that play out.
Facts.
That's crazy. But sorry, I don't. Yeah.
This guy's just idiot. Let me.
Nah. Wait. I've got a better question.
He's
because,
idiot. He's
listen up.
idiot. He's
But yeah,
good.
so I want to ask. Where is it? Yes. We also watched I've done research on you, and you explained about mental real estate, and it relates back to what we were saying about overthinking, and then I think mental real estate links very well with that. Explain what mental real estate is to the people.
Okay, so mental real estate, it's nothing that I learned in a book. It's just something that kind of just came to me. And I think I was watching one guy talk about property, then I was like, damn, what about the mental real estate? For example, whatever you feed your attention to, you're allowing for whatever that is to be built up into your land, your mental land. And those things that are built into your mental land will come into what you call reality. So if you're just watching, shows about struggle and poverty and hood shit, and it's just terrible and it's just sad, those mental creations are being built. That palace of poverty is being built in your mind, which why in reality, when it slowly transitions from the mental plane into the physical plane, you experience that same sort of thing. And this even goes to the type of thoughts that you want to entertain. For example, if you entertain thoughts about it's too hard, I can't do it, how am I going to do it? It's too hard. No one's ever done it before. No one else is doing this. Da 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 da. Da. It's hard. You are building mentally.
Comes to like gym as well. When we went to the gym today, and then basically we went to gym today,
Yeah, explain
and
to me.
then my PB, the other what exercise this is? What this is exercise for the
Chest
chest
press.
chest press.
Dumbbell press.
My PB was 20 kg. He was like, no, do 28 kg today.
And he was like,
No,
oh,
no,
no. He was saying, oh, I'm gonna break my arms. I'm gonna break my arms. I'm gonna break my arms. Like, bro, you can do this, man.
And then I was like, cool,
you
cool.
can do this.
Let's expand our mind.
Yeah.
And then now
So let's expand
expand
our
our mind. And then yeah, now we've done, and I don't
He
28.
did 8 reps for 24, and
done
this
8.
guy's never done more than 20.
20, yeah, 20,
Yeah.
22 max.
Going to the gym with somebody else, they'll take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Crazy. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, go on.
No, but yeah, mental real estate can just be seen as the type of materials that you're allowed to be built in your mind. Those materials can either be positive or negative. And the materials that you take in the most will build your palace. And that can either be a palace or it can be a shed. But regardless of whatever it is, it will come into reality.
Mhm.
So if you're only entertaining thoughts of power, courage, possibility, optimism, unconditional love, and certainty, then precisely that is what your mental palace will be built with. And vice versa, if you're entertaining thoughts of negativity, scarcity, failure, misfortune, bad luck, then that will be built the same way.
It makes me think about what I was saying earlier, how I found it weird growing up that all the people complaining about money, not having money, and complaining about, yeah, you change the government, this, that, this, and the other. They didn't have any money. But all the rich people, they were the one talking about money, taxes, and all these different things, things that they didn't talk about in school. Yeah,
mental real
insurance
estate.
and all these different things.
Precisely, mental real estate, just exactly like that.
So I'll definitely advise anybody, because I know a lot of people, they feel like, I like to tell people, I want to know your opinion on this, because a lot of people, and I know you know a lot, especially younger guys, they feel like some sort of rush. They're like, yeah, we're doing this, I'm talking about this, but where is it? Where are my fruits and my labor? Talk to me about, because, these things take time, the most valuable thing, and people don't see in reality. People expect things to be happening instantly. So I want to hear what your thoughts are on just everybody wants to expect this instantly. You feel like, okay, I've watched Wolf of Wall Street. Now, where's my money? Do you know what I mean? So I want to hear that. Or some people, gone into the crypto, learn a little bit of that, and it's like, yeah, where's my money? I can't even even to this day, I still feel like that. I'm like, yo, I'm doing X, Y, Z. Where are the fruits of my labor?
Well, assuming that the people that are watching this are within our age bracket, then firstly, you need to recognize that you're extremely young. Especially for men, the pinnacle of success is peaks around in your 40s, and then it progressively gets much better from there. So if you're within your 20s, then I'd say slow down. You've got time.
Teens.
Second of all, you then need to recognize and realize that anything that's worth building will take time, because if not, then everybody would be doing it.
Fact.
And the fact that everybody can't do it just shows that you're going to have to just do those hours and do those reps more than anybody else. And thirdly, I'd say time's an illusion. So really and truly, there's no point waiting for what you want in the future, because the only time that exists is in the now. So instead of trying to think about how you're going to be successful in 5 years and saying I will be breaded in 2 years, take that mentality and those characteristics and that consciousness now. Because, like it says in the Bible, he cannot receive unless it's given from heaven. You won't receive anything unless it's established in your consciousness first. So it's very, very important that in terms of, being in a rush, you actually need to be confident, and it's going to be funny me saying this, realistic, that you actually have not only the consciousness, but you're actually putting in the time. There's no way you can watch, Wolf of Wall Street and start thinking that you can just be out here. It's just not going to work like that. Yeah.
So do you believe, how you talked about before it's too much. So you talk about having anything, having something in your brain, and then it comes to reality. I think you visualize. I don't know if there's the word is used, but yeah. And would you so do you believe that if you think of something and you work hard on it, it will come to true? Whatever. So if I think of Lamborghinis and having freedom and this and whatnot, that will come to life. Is that what metaphysics is about?
Not necessarily, because working hard will only take you so far. The times that I've made most money in my life, I didn't really work as hard as I did when I was working 20 hours in a day, studying, talking to people, trying to do this, trying to do that. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like that's one thing that the masses, especially people watching this, need to detach. Where does the concept of working hard for money come from? And it's not that, you shouldn't work hard for money, but always ask yourself, where does the idea come from? Working hard for money. Where did I get that from? I got that from my mom. She's from this country. Okay, it's a quote unquote third world country. Where did she get it from? She got it from her parents, who were even poorer than her. And then hold on, where did it come from? And you get to the top, and you realize that the people that tell people you need to work hard for money are the people that want you to work hard. You
Bro,
understand?
the people who are saying, yeah, work hard, they're the guys who are chilling on yachts, you know?
You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
they're actually just, yo.
Exactly, but
Chilling
we
on
have this
yachts.
idea that we must work hard for money, so we just keep working hard, working hard, working hard. But working 60, 70 hours a week ain't gonna make you money. It's just gonna make you a slave to time.
Mhm.
And if you're a slave to time, you ain't making no money at all.
Nice.
He's loving this.
I'm loving it. I'll talk about I'm excited for this episode.
Say the word.
I'm excited. Wait, anyway,
Okay.
how can I turn manifestations into reality?
All right, cool. So
Do you believe in manifestation? Yeah. The first question is, do you believe in manifestation?
okay, do you believe that there's a microphone in front of you?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't need to believe if you can see it. That's like asking someone, do you believe in the sun? Do you believe that the sun exists? You don't need to because you can see the sun. Anything that needs belief is something that you can't see. But once it's done, it'll be real to you, which is why people will tell you they've had encounters with God and you can't tell them otherwise. So the first things first is that manifestation isn't something to believe in, it's something to acknowledge. And what manifestation is, it's not about getting what you want through the universe. That's a lie. Manifestation is equivalent to the fact that you're breathing right now. And not until I say that you actually like, shit, I'm breathing. But you breathe on autopilot every single day, 24/7. And manifestation is similar. You manifest the bad things, you manifest the good things. I create the peace and I create the evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. The Bible literally tells you that we're the ones that create the peace. We're the ones that create the evil. We're the ones that create the suffering. We do all of these things. You simply do it out of ignorance. Every single encounter in your life and every single event in your life, you have manifested. It's not the process of doing one specific thing. This is something that you do every single day. The day that you live tomorrow is because you manifested it in the past, in the time before that. So manifestation isn't about getting what you want. It's the process of the physical expression of your mental creation. Remember how I said there's three planes, the physical and the mental? It's simply whatever in your mental plane being printed like a projector
Physical.
onto the physical. Precisely.
And breaking that down on a simple level, like people understand that, yeah, tomorrow they're probably gonna wake up, commute to work, do their work, come home, watch Netflix and eat. And people just think, yeah, that's just my regular day. But you don't understand that you planned that the day before. You knew all those things were gonna happen. If you wanted to, you could have decided something completely else, and you
Yeah.
would have manifested that same reality.
Even without being metaphysical, your habits is the reason you live your life the way it is. It's not because, we actually think we make choices, but really and truly we're just products of habit. And that's even on the
You
physical
say
plane
we're
level.
slaves to our own habit.
Precisely. Now, going back to what I was saying about manifestation, in order to actually manifest, you first need to establish the consciousness of something. Now, when I say consciousness, you need to understand that when you say, you want to make money, you need to understand that the number that you prescribe to be money is going to be different. If you go to the hood and you tell a nigga that you got 100K right now, he'll think his life's about to change forever.
Change.
Forever.
That's the goal. Yo, make 100 bags, you're gone clear, bro.
And then you make 100K and you're like, damn,
That's
that wasn't no money at all. I ain't even got 100K right now. You understand what I'm saying? And then essentially what I'm trying to say is that, when we say we want abundance, there's no amount of abundance. If I ask you, what's your abundant amount of money?
10 million.
What's your abundant amount of money?
Abundance. So that's something that's
Yeah.
5, 6.
Mil.
Yeah.
An abundance of money to me is 10 billion. And the fact that what I'm trying to show
Billion.
you is, billion. Okay. The fact that what I'm trying to show you is that it's different no matter who you talk to. So we can't say abundance is an amount. That's the first thing you need to realize. If it's not an amount, then what is it? It's a feeling. It's a feeling. Because the individual that makes 100 grand in Thailand is going to be living in an abundant life. But the individual that's making 100 grand in Canary Wharf is gonna be like,
It's
damn,
nothing.
this shit's rough.
Yeah.
Nothing,
Hey, it's
nothing.
rough. Especially New York, man. Damn.
You understand what I'm saying? So then once you understand that it's a feeling, then you need to actually move into the feeling of abundance. Because manifestation is a reverse engineering process. You must first acquire the feeling and the consciousness to then get the reality. That is how it goes. Seek ye first the kingdom, then all righteousness shall be added unto you. You must seek the kingdom, the consciousness first, and then all things will be added unto you. You don't seek the things and get the kingdom. It doesn't work like that. So, in order to manifest something, if you want to manifest something, and you don't even need to actually try and manifest something. For example, poor people don't try to be poor.
Yeah.
They just are poor. You know what I'm saying?
Some people are gonna get pissed.
Or whatever. For example, when you used to play Yellow Card No Return or Mini Punch, you didn't try to manifest minis. You didn't try to manifest yellow cards. All of a sudden, you just started seeing them. When you said that you wanted a Eurus,
Yeah.
and you start seeing Euruses,
Facts.
you're not trying to do anything.
It comes.
And the universe actually shows you signs like, all right, cool, whatever's in your mind will kind of be printed onto
I
reality.
actually tried this exercise as well.
Precisely.
I said I want a card, some Audi RS Q8. I was a Q8. Every time, I never seen this car ever in my life. Every time when I walk around, I see the car.
Definitely. As
I had
faith.
to try that
When we,
experiment.
sorry, BB. When we used to be out,
Whatever.
my obsession was Teslas. See
Mm.
Teslas everywhere.
Yeah. It's true,
Absolutely everywhere. And this is
Crazy.
before they were even popping like that. And what I'm trying to say is that you don't necessarily try, you don't need to try do anything. You just actually first need to redirect your attention, because where attention goes, energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why the people that can court the most attention make the most money. And we're seeing this from Andrew Tate to Coca-Cola
Insurance
to big
council.
pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
All these type of people are amazing at courting attention. And where attention goes, energy flows. And once you received energy, you can then say, come here, I want £1,000 for that. Then boom, they pay it, because energy is the currency of the universe.
Let's switch it up. So, we talked before, when we was talking with you before, you was talking about some of the challenges that you face with your mother. So we wanted to know, what kind of challenges have you been facing working with your mother? Something new that's come to your
I wouldn't really say that there's any challenges, to be fair. Like, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm extremely grateful to be doing that. Like, I feel like once you make enough money, you spend enough money on yourself, you don't get benefits from that anymore. You get benefits from spending money on other people.
Facts.
For example, I feel better about buying someone something than buying it for
Facts.
myself. To me,
Facts.
it doesn't mean
Facts.
anything. I won't even buy anything for myself.
Facts.
When I buy something for someone else, it feels amazing. And the ability to work with my mother is amazing. And I think it's just about having the patience, because you need to understand, when you go into business with anybody and everybody, they're coming from a certain place with a certain amount of beliefs. And the ability to work through that is truly amazing. Like, my mom even reads all these books that I read, and she understands metaphysics. You could literally do a podcast with her, and she'll be able
You might
to,
have to get
Yeah,
around.
man,
she'll be able to dish it out. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just a beautiful thing. I'd probably only say the only difference is like time, because I feel like, because I'm younger, well, it's apparent, and it seems like I have more time to actually put focus into business, whereas she, has a job at the moment that she's about to leave very soon. So,
What book would you recommend to people? And congrats on that, and all the business going on there.
Thank
And what job would what book would you recommend to anybody? One book only, that to get started in this whole metaphysics. What book would you recommend? One or two actually.
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Sick book.
Precisely. That's the conversation with the devil, supposedly.
That
And I know that scared a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you talk about
That
the
was-
devil,
that
people
was-
are like, oh.
I know why you recommend, because that will trigger that thing in your brain. Like Rich Dad Poor Dad triggered a lot of people's, probably that thing in your brain. That
Yeah.
outwitting the devil.
Should I say something even more controversial?
Go on.
People are afraid of the devil. That's like being afraid of the boogeyman. There's no difference between the archetype of the devil and the archetype of the boogeyman. The devil is nothing more than a concept. And majority of the world could eradicate their fear of the devil by simply studying the origins of the devil. The devil simply comes from those two brothers, Horus and Seth. They used to beef all the time. Horus was light, knowledge, I guess, yeah, he was known as being light and knowledge. Set was his brother, who was the figure of darkness and adversity, which is why, when the sun's going down, and when the sun's going down after it's risen, it's called sunset. It's because it's the battle between lightness and darkness. Sunset is kind of like the light in the sky is now moving down, And there's that contrast, which comes from Set. Set then got turned into Satan, who then got turned into Shaitan.
Mm.
And once you understand that those are simply metaphysical representations from the dual nature of man, then it becomes this less scary thing.
One thing I know about the devil is that people need to understand he's not physical, he's not real, and the only power he has is what's the word? He can only suggest things. The only power he has is suggest things. So it's up to you.
It's
whether or
very,
not you
very
want
interesting. The Bible portrays the devil as a snake or a serpent, right?
Mhm.
But then it also says, be as wise as a serpent. Very, very interesting.
to. Very interesting. I learned about snakes because snakes are very snakes are one of the only animals where from birth they have to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, many other animals they've got all protection and family. They go in packs, but snakes don't work in packs and whatnot. From the moment of birth, when I found that out, I said that's crazy.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. From the moment of birth, they have to fend for themselves.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
Do you think luck is real?
No,
Why is that?
because there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as destiny. There's no such thing as chance. All of that is simply what humans have prescribed to their ignorance. Because we're not able to keep up with how things work across multiple planes, from the physical to the spiritual to the mental, we then attribute things to be luck. For example, you'd say rolling a dice is random. I'd say it's not. And that's not to say that I can predict the dice being rolled. When you throw a dice, you're throwing it from a certain angle with a certain force, which then hits the ground at a certain angle. And depending on the Earth's gravitational force at that area, that's going to cause a certain spin. That's going to make it spin certain ways.
So you basically say if someone replicated the exact same movement, they could get the number 5 each time.
Well, for example, if you ever, there's people out here that practice being able to flip coins. Flipping a coin is seen as a random thing. Whenever you just want to make a random outcome, you flip a coin. There's people that are out here that can literally continuously get heads over and over again. And
But they've learned the form.
yeah,
Wow.
the form, the speed, the power behind the thumb.
Wow.
And the reason that we call these things, random or chance is because our minds are just not able to keep up with what's going on. Like from a dice being thrown at a ground, you're not going to think, okay, what's the speed? Okay, what's the rotation? What was the force behind that? What's the gravitational force? What's the angle of the ground? Is this soil? Is this concrete? Is this marble? Is this laminate? Our mind can't keep up with that. So instead of trying to understand it, we just say, hey, it's random. Because it's too much for our minds to be able to compute. Now, the reason why I say luck and stuff doesn't exist is because everybody has the metaphysical ability to manifest their reality, and they do. The only reason, once again, where did the idea of luck come from? It came from those people that wanted you to believe that there's something externally to you that dictates your reality and controls your reality. Your failures and your successes is simply because of you. But when you say, hey, it was destiny, then it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to work as hard now because, hey, destiny's going to do it once anyways. And those are just ideas that have been propagated to keep people nothing but submissive and ignorant.
So would you say that? So what would you recommend to people? They need to make their own luck. So do you need to be working on finding out the gravitational pull and the amount of muscle control you need so that you can make things as close to as possible to the reality that you want?
You know what's
Or
actually interesting?
Go on.
There was an educational institution that done a research paper on how to increase your luck. And you know how you increase your luck? By telling yourself that you're lucky. That's weird, isn't
Yeah, makes sense though.
it?
How does that make sense?
Because when you tell yourself you're lucky, it's like you believe it more. You believe in that thing more. I don't know. I guess you believe in your abilities more. It kind of makes sense in
And
my,
they
in my
just
head.
You guys missed it both.
Oh, did we?
Once you tell yourself,
It's look at I missed that. You see, I asked that question on purpose.
Yeah.
I asked him because I knew Nero, if Nero asked that question, it would have been something so simple. It's gonna be something like complex definition. So
Bro,
I knew if Faith got it right, yeah. I knew it was wrong. I know-
Nah, listen, nah, hold on. I'm saying this. If I'm trying to get a 5 on a dice and I don't get it, and if someone tells me, yeah, you can get luckier by getting a 5, I'm gonna be like, yeah, cool. I know I'm gonna get a 5 now. So I'm gonna just keep trying to get a 5 and it's gonna give me more confidence. That's the way I look
all
at
it is, an accepted belief in the subconscious is manifestation. The only reason you'll become lucky is because you're manifesting yourself to be luckier. In the instance where you went and got that card at whatever place you were, and I think you should tell people that story because people, when I say it, they think I'm just bullshitting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See.
Tell him.
Okay, so I'll just make it seem as short as possible and to the point. But I was at this card show. a trading card show, and there was a raffle going on. I know everyone does raffles. Everyone knows about raffles, and you buy a raffle ticket, and they have things there to give away. It's simple as that. And I usually don't do raffles, but in that one instant, I thought, let me do a raffle this time. And I only bought one raffle ticket. A group of the entourage that I was with, they bought many tickets. They like this type of thing, but I just said I just want one raffle ticket. That's fine for me. And the raffle's going on, and they're giving they one by one, they're giving the presents, or what are they called, gifts, the prizes and whatnot. They're reading the numbers, 441, they go up, 442, 356, 789. Everybody's going up and getting their surprises, whatever they want to give there. And then I see something in the corner of my eye. I see what I want. It's this Pokemon card collector that I've always wanted for a long time since I was a child. I always wanted it, and I was just looking at it, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like that, and I want that. I just said it in my head. In my head, I said that. And then as they're reading the raffle numbers out, my entourage, they've got loads of tickets. So they're just, the people I'm with, they got loads of tickets. So they're like, oh, and their names.
And you got only one ticket?
No, they had loads of.
No, how about you?
I only had one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I only had one. They had loads, and their names were getting read out, but they weren't getting anything. They were hoping and hoping, but nothing was getting read out. And then, just cutting a long story short, as I see that Pokemon thing come out loud now, I go, yeah, I want that. I'm gonna get that. Then I just started saying loud. I said, you know what? Nah, I want that. I'm going to get that. That's mine. I said, that's the word I said. I said, that's mine. That book, that's mine. And then my number was like 556, let's say. And then he just goes 556. And then I just go, everyone looks at me like I'm a wizard. I said, nah, that was mine. I claimed it. I said, that's my book. I called it. That was my book. Simple, plain blank, and I got it. Simple. I didn't even feel, what's the word? I didn't even feel like whoa, like how did that really happen? I was like, that's mine. I want it. I'm gonna get it. Simple. Like, yeah.
And that's manifestation right there.
Mm.
So when the institutional education,
that's what I think of when people say manifestation.
Yeah,
I have
because
an extra point to make.
It's made to be like a stupid thing, innit?
Yeah.
And you got these people that are out here with their 10 beads and dreadlocks, and they're alkaline, whatever. Like
crystals.
Exactly. It just seems like a silly thing. But once you understand it's just something that you do
brain.
with or without your consent, just simply with your mind, then it steps away from being that. And that's a nice, clear example of manifestation right there.
What is cause and effect? 'Cause I know you talk about this. So what is cause and effects?
Cool. So on a physical plane level, cause and effect is if I put my hand onto fire, I'll be burnt.
Mhm.
The effect of my cause, the effect is my hand is burnt. The cause is me putting my hand there. Now, once we take this on a metaphysical level, cause and effect pertains to the physical plane and the mental plane. So the mental plane can be seen as our causes. So in the instance where Faith had accepted that this card was his and he was going to get it with full certainty, that was the cause of what he experienced in reality, which is the effect. Everything that we see in reality is simply an effect. That's it. Now, you don't change an effect by trying to change an effect. You change an effect by changing the cause. So if you understand that the root of your effect, which is reality, the cause of that lies in the mental plane, which is your mind and your thoughts, then the first thing that you're going to start to work on is your mind. Because if your mind is the cause of your reality, and reality is the effect, and you want to change that effect, then you must first work with the mind. Which is why the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom, then all righteous things shall be added unto you. That's cause and effect.
And the kingdom would be the mind, does the mind lie in the spiritual?
Precisely.
Hey, I hope you're clocking, because I'm clocking.
Well, Jesus said, lo, no, here, the kingdom of heaven is within you.
How can I? So this is Wifi Money podcast. How can I make money using cause and effect? Because obviously there must be like a correlation to making money and relate back to
Precisely.
cause and effect.
The first thing that you need to understand is the money that you're making right now is simply an effect.
Mhm.
If you make 5K this month, that's an effect. If you make 10K this month, that's an effect. If you make 100K this month, that's an effect. Once you understand that those are all effects, then you need to actually say, cool, what is the cause of this? And once you understand the cause lies within your mind and the mental plane, then you actually need to start working on the thoughts that you're obtaining. For example, the only reason someone makes 3K a month is because mentally they make 3K a month. yourself and say, nah, this month I'm gonna make 5K.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make 5K this month. Then you're planting that cause, which then consequently, along with the right actions, will lead to the effect. Precisely.
Key part along with actions.
Crazy.
I think people get
Well, yeah, because the New Age spiritualist and
At least just about to ask that.
crystal alkaline
Yeah,
friends,
yeah,
make
yeah.
it seem like manifestation is this thing that is just like, oh, you can just sit in your room and the universe will just give you 100K. That's nonsense, because what the ancients taught is that there's 3 planes. Now, if there's 3 planes, that means you exist on 3 levels. You need to be mashing work on every single one of those levels to get what you want. The idea that you can sit in your room and 100K is just going to be delivered to your door is idiotic. And that's why the New Age movement is idiotic, because it's ancient concepts diluted with falsehoods to misdirect people and mislead people. So you need to understand, if there's 3 planes on the physical plane, you need to be utilizing every single resource that you have at your capacity. Just because you understand metaphysics doesn't mean you get a pass. Even me understanding metaphysics, I'll probably outwork majority of you. And that's because regardless, I will utilize every single resource to my ability and put the work in. Then on the mental plane, you can't fuck with me. On the mental plane, my mind is impenetrable. My mind is literally full of abundance, courage, love, unconditional love in particular, and infinity.
Facts.
Which is why I'm simply creating a cause to lead to an effect, which is why my reality shows that. And on the spiritual plane, you can't fuck with me again. On the spiritual plane, I stay meditating, I stay connected to the source. I see myself in every single person in this room, and that's non-duality. So you need to make sure you're mashing work across all 3 planes, because if you're messing up in one plane, that's going to lead to effects in the others.
Would you ever, I've seen this new, I've seen a couple people live like a monk. So live like a monk, basically they go to some place, live with monks, and they do nothing.
Yeah, I
Just,
want to do that.
you want to do that?
Yeah.
Have you ever,
Yeah.
would you,
I
when?
want to go to Japan and
Okay.
study under Zen Buddhists, because
Yeah.
a lot of my mind is within Eastern philosophy. So people like Sun Tzu, the person that wrote The Art of War, people like Lao Tzu, the person that wrote Tao Te Ching, people like Confucius, all of these are Eastern philosophers. Miyamoto Musashi, the deadliest samurai that ever lived. All of these people are Eastern philosophers, and their way of thinking is absolutely amazing,
Why was he the deadliest samurai to ever live?
because he didn't lose a single
He
fight.
didn't lose a single fight, did he?
Never. Never lost.
Runish.
Never lost a single fight in his life.
Wow.
Yeah, he even killed someone with a wooden sword.
And he had a
The other guy had a real sword. Yeah,
Crazy.
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've said the word right.
you did.
Why is learning about cognitive dissonance so important?
Because cognitive dissonance is your ability for your mind to take in new information. For example, if you have a belief system and the information that you're hearing, even if it's a fact, doesn't align with that particular belief system, your mind will just reject it and be like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. Even if I said, hey, there's water in this, if you, for whatever reason, believe that this is Fanta, even your eyes seeing this, your mind would say, that's not true. There's no water in there. That's Fanta in there. Cognitive dissonance is that it's your mind trying to protect you from taking in new information. So when people come across new information, no matter how much I slice it and prove it to them, their minds will not take it. Why? Because it's cognitive dissonance.
Just like he couldn't accept that he could do more than 20
Yeah,
kg.
Precisely. Until, for whatever reason, that's overcame. And cognitive dissonance is extremely dangerous, because it's exactly why there's so much disconnect in the world, from political views, to religious views. There's so much disdain and, lack of patience to see the other side, that people's minds will instantly, readily just reject it completely. Like, I was on my socials the other day and I got called out by this Christian girl who's, said I was misleading people. And she must have said something about the Quran. And, in the Quran, they say that Jesus was crucified, but Jesus called out to God. And in the Quran, they say that God saved Jesus and took him down from the cross, and he eventually ascended. And I was saying that to the Christian girl as a perspective. And she was like, nope, it's not true. Nope, it's not true. Nope, it's not true. And I was like, well, how do you know it's true? And she said, because the Bible said this. And I said, okay, cool, but how do you know it's not wrong? She said, it can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. And that is an example of cognitive dissonance.
Can't process the new information.
Precisely. It's instantly rejected without any form of thinking. And this is all over the place. I'm not a football fan, but if you tell certain fans that their team is the best team in the
Yeah,
world,
yeah.
regardless of the facts, their man's gonna say, no, not true. We have this player, we have this, da 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 da, we're the best here, da 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 da. And that's exactly the same way. People even have cognitive dissonance when it comes to their self belief in their own potential. I can't do that. How do you know you can't do? I just know I can't.
Just like the
Cognitive
gym.
dissonance, precisely.
How can I? What's about? How can I be more cognitive dissonance? I don't know if that's it. How can I be more like? How can I control my brain and accept? And
New information.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, the first thing you need to understand is that the mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. That's the first thing you need to realize. And once you've understood that, then you need to also humble yourself because,
Crazy.
it doesn't really matter who you've learned from. I don't give a fuck how long you've been going to church or temple or wherever you go to. It really doesn't matter because the matter of the fact is you need to humble yourself and understand that there's so much truth and information in the world that just because you live your life in one particular way doesn't mean you're going to be correct. And some people can't conceive of that. Some people can't conceive of the fact that what they believe might not be correct. And the only way you're going to first, get over cognitive dissonance is humility. You actually need to humble yourself and recognize that you're a baby in this world and you're a baby in the universe. You live 90 years, so what? The universe has been around 11, 13
Yeah.
billion years. That's nothing. You need to humble yourself at the fact that just because no matter, how much truth you've seen or what particularly you might have come across that would then justify or quantify what you believe, that it's not 100%. And that's fine. That's the beauty of reality. Nobody can agree on the name of God and who God is. But the one thing we can agree with is that God is infinite.
Mm-hmm.
If God is infinite, then there must be an infinite amount of answers to reality. But no one ever sees it like that. They see it as one, which is interesting.
You know, there was I love this one story that I heard was even my pastor said, he said something like oh, he must have been negotiating with this guy. Someone must have been two people must have been negotiating, and the guy was an older gentleman about maybe the sale of a property. And they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then finally, the one guy gave like a one final offer to this old guy. And he looked stubborn, like a typical old guy stuck in his ways. And he must have gave the one final offer, and the guy was like, he must have been like, nah. He must have been like, nah. But then they walked away. And then he must have stopped them and he called them back and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna take your offer. And then the guy said to him, why are you taking the offer now? And he goes, what is the use of a mind if it cannot change? And that
Precisely.
stuck for me for a long time.
Precisely. There's no point to it at all. And, part of cognitive dissonance is ego. It's the incapability of perceiving that you might not be right. What you've taught might not be right, which is fine. It's completely fine. And once, like I said, the first step is humility. Like I'm humble in the sense that I study from every single thing I can relentlessly, which is why I've been reading the Quran lately. I've read the whole Bible. I've got the Bhagavad Gita in my library. You understand what I'm saying? I'm reading.
What's the brother of?
the book? It's the book of the Hindus.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally reading every single thing, and it's because my mind accepts that the mind is literally like a parachute. If you jump from the sky and your parachute don't want to open, you're
Need
gonna
to open
die.
it.
So you need to open your mind to the fact that you know you might not be right, and it's difficult. It's difficult. Like I
Yeah.
get it. Like it's difficult having your ideology and your way of
Your
living
worldview
being challenged.
challenge.
Yeah, because that's all some people have, which is why they hold on to it so dearly. But that's not benefiting you. That's just hindering you. You're just putting yourself into a cage where you can't get hurt, almost like a kid. When kids, like when children are first born and their parents will put like cages on steps at the top of the stairs so they can't, like one of those gates. That's all it is. But you don't realize that that baby is now a 25-year-old man and you still got that gate.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Of course. Facts, man. Crazy facts. But yeah,
What's the difference between, you got a question?
yeah. I was just gonna
on,
ask.
go
How? So I know there's a higher self and a lower self. How? Explain to the people what is higher self and lower self, and how can I tap into my higher self,
Your
become the best of Walid, best of Walid, or best of Faith, or best of Nero.
your higher self is attributed to be the spiritual you that is closest to the source. So the spiritual you that is intuitive, compassionate, high intellect, deeper spiritual, profound knowledge, and essentially just a more elevated level of consciousness and characteristics, and your lower self is prescribed to be the version of you that is more like an animal. You understand what I'm saying? Which is why when people begin to become extremely spiritual, the first thing that they do is go celibate. Now, the reason they go extremely celibate is because that sex is somewhat equivalent to an overindulgence of sex, I should say, is attributed to be the lower self. It's the lower part of your chakras, not only that, but it's almost beast like. You understand what I'm saying? This is why in the Bible the devil is represented by a beast, right? Because beasts are animal like and they're lower in consciousness in comparison to a human or somebody else. So once you understand that, you know, your higher self is the version of you that's closest to the source, that may be your God, then in order to tap into your higher self, you need to then begin to distance yourself from the lower self. So you need to distance yourself um from those aspects of you, which is why another thing people do is fast.
I was literally going to mention that.
Precisely, because you're almost denying the lower desires, which is your stomach wanting to eat, which sounds crazy to some people not eating, but what that is doing is depriving the attention and energy that you're devoting to your lower self. And once you start to distance yourself from that, you can slowly start to move into your higher self. This is why, you know, fasting is an extremely spiritual thing. And I know in Islam, fasting is heavy there.
Ramadan, yeah.
Precisely. And, you know, when it comes to your higher self, it can almost be like, damn, how do I connect with this person? How do I, or this being? You connect with that being, like I said, by first depriving all your lower self desires extremely. So, you know, if you're fucking around unnecessarily, then, you know, you might want to stop that. If you're overeating when you shouldn't be, you might want to stop that. Try fasting. Which is funny because I've never even fasted.
You haven't?
Not entirely. I do something called intermittent fasting.
Nah,
but
bro, you need to go on
I didn't even know that it was.
Proper.
I just thought it was just being broke, innit? Like, I mean, like I was like, this is how I live my life, and then niggas call it intermittent fasting. I'm like, what the hell?
Me, I'd say me, I just don't eat. Oh, I'm just working, bro. I just too busy thinking about.
See,
sometimes I forget.
me, I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm just a bad habit of me. I eat a lot.
Yeah.
I eat a lot.
Well, precisely. That's gratifying your lower self. Now, obviously, there's certain things that you can eat, and you know that will, quote unquote, contribute to your higher self. As some people would believe, the alkaline movement and stuff like that. And you know, having sex with the right person also contributes to your higher self connection, cool, whatever. Now, in order to actually, you know, align with your higher self, you actually need to try first think to yourself, okay, the simplest way I can attribute it to be is for people to have a good understanding of their particular religion and then move into the characteristics that those religions promote. So unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, um, integrity, right? Those are things that can be attributed to the higher self. So once you actually start to move into those, then you actually become aligned with it. Now, in order to actually connect with your higher self, the first thing you need to do is actually have a silenced mind. Because how can your higher self talk to you when your mind never stops? Even if it does talk to you, you wouldn't know what it is. You'd think it's Lil Durk. You wouldn't know at all, right? So the first thing you need to do is actually silence your mind, which is why upon deep meditations, people say that they've heard the voice of God, they heard the voice of somebody, and it's because their mind has been removing of so much nonsense that they can actually start to hear themselves. For example, there's times in people's lives that I've been watching where, you know, they were supposed to go somewhere and then something just said to them, don't go there. Just don't go out today.
Don't go where? What do you mean? To go
Wherever. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
let's say your friends are going out or something's happening or there's a motive, and something
don't go.
something in your mind is just like, don't go. You don't go. Some fuckery ends up happening. Someone ends up getting
It's true,
stabbed.
it's true, it's
There's
true.
a car crash and something crazy, and you're like, damn. If I went, I could have been involved in that. And that's your higher self communicating with you. You understand what I'm saying? Because your higher self understands that time's an illusion. So everything that you can experience, it's already experienced. So it's already seen the potentiality of you getting into that harm. So this was why you hear that little voice that says, don't go out today. Or don't go down that road. Or don't get in that car. Or kind of leave that person. Yeah, that person ends up doing some next mad thing or something.
Facts.
You understand what I'm saying? And it all starts with meditation. And it starts, if I had to put it down to three base things, it's deprival of the low self desires, meditation, so you can actually hear that voice, and then it's actually listening to that voice. Because listening and then acting upon what you heard is two completely different things.
You need to fast, by the way.
Huh?
Like extended periods.
Definitely, I do.
How- Sorry, go,
real.
sorry, guys.
Nah, that's it. Just
Ah,
you need
cool,
to
yeah.
like 5 days.
Definitely.
I was gonna ask, how long, for you personally, so how long did it take you to basically tap into your higher self and get into that meditation habit and just
I
get into
wouldn't.
that habit?
I wouldn't. I'm not one of these spiritual people that would be like, yeah, I was chatting to my higher self last week, and that nigga was telling me to do this, and he was telling me to do that. Like, I can't even say if I've connected to my higher self. Like, there's been times in my life where I've heard a voice and it ended up benefiting me, cool, whatever. But I'm not this person that's walking around with his higher self and we're just walking down, what I'm saying, Broad Street together. Like, so I can't really answer that question. I don't have the capability to answer that question or the audacity to do something like that.
Oh, okay. So how long did it take you to become metaphysical?
Cool.
That's the right question.
So it's taken me, and it's weird because, I grew up, I didn't grow up in the hood because the hood's a dangerous place. I grew up in the ghetto. Niggas was just broke.
Like that, fam. Like that.
Like,
it wasn't dangerous. It was just broke.
Yeah, I didn't worry about being stabbed.
Yeah.
Niggas was just broke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, it's funny because people attribute me to be a spiritual person, and I am, because I do the studies and I do the meditations. You feel me? But same time, I'm almost torn between like this ghetto side of me. You understand? And my life is a constant battle of having to be like, okay, I'm not gonna think like this, or I'm not gonna do like, whether it's beliefs about money or it's spending money or stuff like that. So it's taken me. It's still an ongoing journey. If I'm being honest, I can't say that I've overcome it.
Completely.
Yeah, definitely. But I started metaphysics maybe, how old am I? 21. Started when I was 15, 16. So what's that?
How do you know?
6 years? 21.
Crazy.
Yeah.
As we was talking about this, we was talking about success, and I was talking about how the more successful you get, the more evil eye you get. Do you believe in evil eye? Is evil eye a real thing in metaphysics? Or
It is a real thing, but not in the way people think.
Okay.
So people that walk around with the evil eye bracelet thinking that's gonna save you, that ain't gonna save you. Like, let's stop that cute shit. Like, putting in an evil eye emoji in your bio ain't gonna stop all that shit happening to you. People need to and people need to get past that, man. That shit makes me laugh. But evil eye is a thing. Essentially, it's the disdain or dislike or anger or hostility or pride or envy or jealousy towards you from another. Now, which ends up becoming a manifestation in your reality. Now, what I will say about evil eye is the belief that you have evil eye is what will detriment you, because
repeat it again for me, please.
Facts.
the belief that you have evil eye upon you is what will harm you, because that's a self-inflicted manifestation. If you believe that if you publicize information, and we all do it, I don't tell people certain things about my business because I'm like, oh, I don't want it to mess up. Or your parents will say, don't go around telling people that you're doing this. And if you're African and Asian, it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
You want to
don't
keep,
try to-
you want to
it
keep
the
that
family.
precisely. And the belief that something will go wrong because
It'll
of
come
that.
wrong.
Become
Precisely.
that's a big lesson I learned this year.
Precisely.
I realized the fear that you have, that fear you have of that thing going wrong, it will happen.
It's a self-inflicted.
It will happen.
It's a
It will
self-inflicted
happen.
manifestation.
It
Now,
will happen.
there's a formula to manifestation, and that formula is emotion, which is either a strong emotion or any form of strong emotion, whether good or bad. For example, anger is a strong emotion, but then so is joy. They're just opposite sides of the spectrum. The equation is emotion plus mental image is creation. So if you believe with fear and sadness that if you talk about your success, it's going to go wrong, plus mental image, that's led to creation, which is manifestation, and vice versa, right? It can work in the opposite way. So in terms of evil eye, I would say that stop wearing evil eye bracelets. They're just making bread off you. And stop also, putting them in your bio that shit ain't going to save you. The first thing that you need to do is actually understand that you are above evil eye. Just because, there's instances where it's happened doesn't mean it's always going to happen, and it has to happen. You need to step out the belief that when something becomes public, people are going to dislike you, because, this is why people often not reach their full potentiality, because they think that there's going to be problems with their friends or there's going to be problems with their family and people are going to say like this. But it's that belief, mental image plus emotion, that will lead to creation. Then you end up telling people, and then
then
it goes wrong, you
that-
get fired, the deal
and-
doesn't come through, whatever.
on the flip side, you'll see some of the worst people on this earth who who will flaunt, who have ego, who look all bad, yet they will still be prospering. And you're thinking, it's just bound to happen. They're just bound to slip up one time, and nothing happens to them.
Yeah,
They don't slip up.
because they don't believe that the opinions of others will affect them. And evil eye is one of the funniest things because people in our culture absolutely love evil eye.
Yeah.
But if you have an adept understanding of manifestation and metaphysics, you understand it's a joke. It's a joke.
A joke.
I was gonna ask, what are some emotions that me or Faith or the viewers should eradicate, should remove? The emotions that you just can't be feeling.
All right, cool. So the first thing you need to understand is supposedly, if you believe down the route of evolution, then you need to understand that those type of emotions such as fear and worry and panic kept you alive when you see a saber-toothed tiger. So we evolved with those emotions because they kept us alive and they done a good job. Because if you saw a lion right there and you wasn't afraid, you're gonna get eaten. You feel me? So you needed that fear to be like, shit, let me run away now so I can stay alive another day. So we evolved with these emotions, but the sad thing is we became addicted to them, which is why our culture will love to watch stuff where there's heartbreak, stuff where there's sadness, stuff where there's murder, stuff where there's drama. Because really and truly, people are addicted to sadness and they don't even know it because they haven't evolved from that reptilian brain, which is survival, which is flight or flight. So the type of emotion that essentially what I'm trying to say is you can't eradicate those emotions because they're hardwired into you.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to remove fear.
Yeah, it's a survival instinct.
Precisely, you needed it to survive, and so did your ancestors, which is why you have it's hardwired into your DNA. But what you can do is how you approach the fear. Instead of running away, you walk into it. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is choose new emotions, which sounds funny, but you can choose new emotions. Like, if you wake up every day before your day's even gone on and you've decided it's going to be a bad day,
Then it will become a bad day.
you understand?
In facts.
And that's another form of manifestation,
I was
right?
gonna say to him, one time we was in office together and I was like, nothing could ruin my day. Then the day, like 10 minutes after, the hot chocolate spilled and then the food came wrong. I still said, nothing's going to ruin my day. And it hasn't. If someone said, if someone had the same thing as me, they said, oh, my day is ruined.
See, I knew it.
Yeah, I knew it. And then,
look, it's gone wrong, whatever, right? And, when it comes to emotions, you actually need to understand that you can choose your emotions.
Fact.
You genuinely can choose your emotions.
Yes.
But it's because it seems so far out of your control. The world has led you to believe when you experience emotions, it's, it's fine, you can't control those. No, but you can control your emotions. But it's not going to be easy. Just because I'm saying you can control it doesn't mean it's going to be like, cool, I'm angry, let me make myself happy, right? It's not going to work like that. But it's a slow but sure process. Once you can overcome, and funny thing is, Winston Churchill was a Freemason, right? And he said, it is not the fortunes that decide the moods of people. It's the moods of the people that decide the fortunes.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? And so metaphysically, he understood Wagwan, and you can choose your moods, right? Even Hermes or Thoth or Tahuti, who's, in Greek mythology is the messenger of the gods. He's taken from the Egyptians, from Thoth. He said, choose your moods wisely. So the idea of choosing your moods is a real thing. But because of the way the world is structured and things have been cultivated, it seems like a random thing. But no, choose your moods.
Because like a situation can happen and one person can look at it and get angry and another person can look at it and get happy.
And then what does that come down to? It comes down to a choice. Now, that's not to say that the other person that's calm wasn't angry to begin with. They probably were. But they felt anger, then they kind of redirected themselves mentally and said, no, I'm going to feel this.
And just touching on what you said earlier about, certain emotions are like they're hardwired into us. I was just thinking about shame, how literally the most popular, I was talking about it earlier, the most popular videos are literally like cat fails or people failing and people falling down and people getting hurt. Those are the most popular things. Those are the things that we like to consume the most and we like the most.
And like I said, we're addicted to those type of emotions. Our culture is a complete reflection of that.
You see what happens when like a trial will happen. I was also talking about like someone does something wrong, like a murder or a crime, and we have to point our finger at someone. We never let anybody scot-free. Like somebody has to take the blame for it. Someone has to take the shame. Someone we have to point fingers to. So
and you know what they did back in the medieval days, and if you watch Game of Thrones, you'll know this, right? So there was a queen called Cersei, and she essentially just shagged everybody. So instead of killing her, they made her get naked and walk around the city saying, shame, 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 shame. And once you understand that shame is the lowest form of vibration emotionally, then it all makes
And
sense.
that's why people fear going up on a stage more than death.
Precisely. Shame. Exactly. See, when you begin to understand it from a metaphysical point, you can see how it's all tied in reality from, making young men, well, not making them, but pushing porn onto young men.
Yeah.
Because really and truly after they feel shame.
Yeah.
And that's on a consistent basis, the point where it becomes a vibration.
And they stay on that level so they can never go.
Exactly.
Crazy.
You're getting in it. You're getting it.
Yeah. I'll start researching. Since you gave me that book, I'll start researching it.
Nice.
Yeah. The trick, what's it called? The book is called The Trick to Saving Money is Getting Some. No, The Trick to Earning Money is Getting Some.
Yeah.
That book, I'm like 10 pages in, but that's because it takes me so long to read 3 pages because it just destroys my brain. That's literally what happens. But it's good though.
You got something? You got something?
No, I had a question, but it went.
Okay, cool.
No, it's back.
Okay, go for it.
I was gonna ask. You said how people can choose their emotions. I get kind of slandered about it. I always say people that are depressed or people that are very mentally upset, what initially got them to that stage, but what they chose to stay there, because if they wanted to, they could have changed and they could have done actions to change.
Well, the first thing I would say is that our society likes to, especially our generation, likes to conflate sadness and depression. Depression is a chemical change in your brain. Sadness is just something that passes, comes and goes. Depression is something entirely different. But too many people experience deep sadness, which I understand why they would say that. Then they claim they're being depressed, right? Then they end up creating entities which then create them depression. But that's something else. But essentially what I'm trying to say is, depression is something else entirely. But sadness comes and goes. You're not always going to be sad forever, right? And you're not always going to be depressed forever. You don't have to be, right? But I think once you understand that there's certain things that you can make your own conscious efforts to overcome. And once you, I guess, take power and responsibility that you can overcome this, then you will. But if you see something as always bigger than you, then it'll always be difficult to overcome that. And that's not to say it's going to be easy or difficult, but that's to say that, obviously mental health and depression is not a joke at all, but it's completely overcomable if you're willing to actually put the time and effort to examine your problems. And Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the state that you entered it.
Repeat that, because you can't solve a problem.
You can't solve a problem while remaining in the state that you entered it. So essentially, if you're here in a problem, you're not going to solve it from here. You need to rise above it. Then you'll be like, oh, that's nothing. I can solve that.
Is Einstein also the one who said about insomnia?
I have no idea.
He said that quote, if you keep some people who keep doing the same thing over and over and thinking that something's going to change. I forgot what that definition is.
Oh, insanity.
Insanity, sorry.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to change. He was...
Bro, don't mind our producers. Don't mind our producers. No, we're not cutting it out, man. Don't mind our producers. And just to end, Nero, we've got a lot of people here in the team, they like talking. Anyway, we've given you that gift here. Yeah, stand up, man. Actually,
Come on, stand up. Come on, guys.
Me to stand up.
No, don't stand up, actually. Don't stand up. So we've got, here, we're family, Nero's family. So we have some gifts. First of all, we have this gift.
No
this
way.
is for you.
I wanted that t-shirt as well.
Yeah, this is one gift. And then also we have a Wi-Fi money t-shirt.
You see, you wanted that t-shirt, that means the cause and effect, it came to the reality.
Exactly, he was lit. There you go.
Lit.
And we also have a t-shirt for you. You're gonna get a fresh one. This is just like fresh show, innit?
Thank you very much.
Yes, man. This is our fam. This is brother.
It's been an honor to be here.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
I love asking. I wish I could talk for like days, but obviously
We can if you want.
Nah, we're fine. We're good. But yeah.
Hey,
But anyway,
Wi-Fi
thank you for
money.
Nero. Let's
I do
go.
that too.
of course, man.
Yeah,
This is the
come
Wi-Fi
on.
buddy show.
All right, guys. See you later, and then see you next time.